guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, my name is Marcelina. I'm 15, almost 16. It's crazy that in a couple weeks I'll be saying 16 now in all my intros. Year-old author. I've published one book thus far. It's called The Book That Divides Us, YA mystery romance, very A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, X Binding 13 coded. Check it out. All the links are down below. Amazon, Kindle Unlimited, Barnes & Noble, all that good stuff. I post weekly writing vlogs on here, a bunch of edits, silly little things to promote my books, inspire other teen writers or just writers in general, indie authors, whoever can find some joy or some motivation or advice in my videos. I make them for y'all. So I love you guys so much and I hope you enjoy. I hope you'll want to subscribe and stick around until February 14th when my newest book, labeled Innocent, Presumed Dead, is published. So, with that, I think that's the perfect lead-in. Okay, I'm just gonna be like straight up honest with you guys. I have not really been working on this book very much. I'm in kind of an awkward in-between stage because I did finish draft 4. Drafts 3 and 4 were both beta edits. There were 2 different drafts because I had 2 different rounds of betas. So draft 3 was for round 1, which was 3 people, and then draft 4 was for 1 person, but she was like someone I held in a really high standard and regard, and she had really insightful feedback, so I kind of had a whole draft just dedicated to her feedback. I wrote an entire new scene. I kind of went through and I basically fleshed out some of the character arcs more. I rewrote a bunch of dialogue. Like, it was kind of a big overhaul for 1 person. So anyway, that's why it has its own draft. But I finished that pretty much. There's like one more thing I need to do, but it kind of crosses over into what I'm going to be talking about in just a moment. Other than that, I feel like I say this in every one of my videos, but just school is just so time consuming. And I say this as if I have not gone through, however many years of school. Also as if I haven't been in high school for a year. Like, I know the workload is a lot, but for some reason, if there's any sophomores out there watching this, let me know. Did that just happen to you? Because I've heard from everyone like, oh, freshman year is your easiest. I feel like the content necessarily this year for me isn't that much harder. I mean, I am taking 2 APs, but still, it's not that bad. But it's like the test. I swear last year I had like a test per class, maybe every 2 weeks. Now, I swear almost every single day of the week I have some test in some class. And then that means studying, and it's just like a lot. But anyway, I just haven't found time to work on this book. And then, I always talk about my philosophy of like, you can find time anywhere. There's really no such thing as I had no time, period. You could always find time somewhere. If you get to school a couple minutes early, if you really are in a crutch and you need to, like while you're eating breakfast maybe, or in between a class, if you pack up earlier, you finish your assignment early, or right before you go to bed. Like, there are definitely times you could squeeze it in. You just have to be very intentional about it and plan it out and not waste that time thinking about what to do. Just do something. But I found that in those moments, I'm kind of so focused on, chatting with people. I have quite a few online friends on here. We have quite long and amazing like Pinterest conversations and email conversations, and like just we DM each other back and forth, and so they're always active and I'm always like trying to respond to their messages. And then I'm also very focused on YouTube and making content. I post edits 4 times a week plus the vlog, so I'm either like trying to make something, I'm trying to edit this, I'm trying to film a clip for it. And then the most recent development with me that I haven't really shared on here yet is that I'm reaching out to cover reveal people as we speak. Basically, I'm just gonna say it, everyone watching is going to be in the know, and just please do not tell the people who are not in the know. I am going to send out a newsletter that is on my to-do list for this upcoming weekend. Send out a newsletter, so if you're a newsletter subscriber, check your inbox, because I am going to kind of send out extensive what's coming up next for me, kind of like what are some dates to look forward to for me, what am I planning, because I have been scheming, by the way, so I'll keep y'all updated on that, and then YouTube will eventually get that. But you should sign up for my newsletter if you want it first. Go to my website, link in description. A pop-up should appear, put your email in, and you are all set. So the cover reveal for Labeled Innocent, Presumed Dead is happening November 21st, which is less than 3 weeks away. I've had this date in mind for a solid month now, and it has not hit me until now. Like, it is so close. It is insane. And basically, I did this with my last book too, with The Love That Divides Us. A couple of you guys may have even been a part of it, but I did what is common in especially the indie author space, which is like a cover reveal blast. Essentially what this is obviously you as the author, you're going to be bombarding people's social media, their feeds with posts and graphics and videos and just like announcing the cover like, here it is. Like that's the whole point. You're obviously going to be your number one hype person and cheerleader. And obviously, you know, being a self-published author, you take on the roles of a million different people. So being your own marketer and promoter is definitely one of them. However, when you do a cover reveal blast, basically you get other influencers involved, other people who post videos too. You ask them, and there are definitely different ways to do this. I've seen it where some authors just offer it to their newsletter subscribers. Some make it like a street team type thing where like, oh, if you do this for me, then I will give you an arc of the book, or I will give you some like free swag, or you'll get invited to like this exclusive release party or something like that. Or in some cases, it's literally just out of the kindness of your own heart, like, hey, I don't know, if you want to support a fellow writer, you know, an indie author, my book's cover reveal date is XYZ. Cover reveals, not for everyone, but for me personally, they are the time where pre-orders open as well, which is a huge, huge day for sales. It's definitely one of the most hyped days, probably second to release, but it's like a really big deal in terms of sales and numbers and whatnot. And then you would just kind of say that to them and be like, would you be willing to help me out and maybe just post about it on that day? Just, you know, help me spread the word. And a lot of times they will be a lot more willing and a lot nicer and more receptive to this offer than you think. Like that sounds kind of weird, like, oh my gosh, I'm asking people to like post about my book cover, like what? I promise it's not as scary as you think. A lot of people are just really supportive of it, and it really, really, really helps. Not even necessarily like, oh, they have a bigger following than me, so it's going to reach more people. Yes, but also, even if they have the same amount of followers as you, or even less, which is again totally fine, they most likely do not have every single one of the same people. They may have a couple of the same subscribers that you have, but chances are, even if they have less than you, it's still brand new people. It's almost as valuable as more people because it's brand new people. It's people that still, even if it's not that many new people, it's still new people who haven't heard of you, who can and potentially could become new readers and fans of you. So anyway, I love doing this. I think it's a very effective tactic. Last month, I started making a little spreadsheet. I say little, there's like 20 people on there. Take that how you will, but of different people in different categories. I don't really want to say what they are yet, although a couple people have reached back. I still haven't finished contacting everybody. And also, if it doesn't pan out, which I remember last year, there were like a few people who said they would and they never did. I mean, I still got like 4 people, I think, maybe 5, who ended up posting about it, but I asked like 8. But I think that's the case with anything, you know, especially with ARC readers as well. Like, just because they say yes and you send it to them does not mean they're going to end up posting about it. Just be prepared for that when you get to that stage. Keep your expectations low. They are under no obligation to. You're just kind of hoping that they will stay true to their word. If it comes up on November 21st, if you see something that's like promoting my cover, but they're not a bookish channel, like, don't be alarmed. Don't be like, wait, why is this random account that has nothing to do with books, that is like the last person you'd ever think would post about books, posting about her cover? Like, how did she get her cover? I promise, like, chances are, if it is on cover reveal day, if it is on the 21st, it's because I reached out to them personally and we struck a little deal. We were talking and they agreed. So just a little heads up. But like I said, I have not done everybody, but I'm working my way down the list, and 2 people have agreed already, and so I'm going back and forth with them. Just really any help to spread the word helps. I mean, the pre-orders are opening. I could start seeing some spikes in pre-orders, which helps tell the Amazon algorithm, like, hey, people are interested in this book, and then they push it out more. They send it out, and they're like Amazon and Barnes & Noble newsletters that they do, that like the upcoming releases emails. If you guys are subscribed to those, I don't know, I just get them. I could opt out of them, but I don't. Like, if more people know about it, they add it to their to-read shelf on Goodreads, which the Goodreads page is coming out on November 21st as well, by the way. So then, like, that pushes out to Goodreads, and then Goodreads sends an email out about it. Like, it's just, like, the more exposure, the better. So I've been working on that. I've been working on, you know, sending out these emails to people, trying to be like, I'm just scared because I said in my last video, I've been getting so many scam emails of like, not anything related to covers, but like these scam things. It's like, hi Marceline, and they use my name, my first and last name. So like, I think they want you to think it's legit, but I can tell it's not. They're like, hey, I saw your books, or I've been following your channel. Like, would you be interested in collaborating with me for, I'm just like, instantly you're going in the block and report to junk pile. Because I don't know if this is just because I did a research report on this, an AP seminar a couple weeks ago, or if I'm just like, I got accused of using AI once. I don't know, but I tend to be really good at spotting AI, and specifically spotting when things are like, this was not written by a real person. I don't know who wrote this, but it was not by a person. And some of these emails, like, there's just consistencies to watch out for. But I've been getting so many of those. And it's just like, when I'm wording these emails, it's hard for me because I'm just like, I don't want people to think I'm a scam. I mean, if you just look up my name, you'll see I'm not. I'm a real person, guys. But anyway, it's just kind of like I'm putting a lot of time and effort into that. And then as I'm like going through my list, I'm actually adding more to my list. So I'm not helping myself. I'm really just making myself suffer more, because every like 5 people that I email and I haven't heard back from like a good chunk of them, then I'm like, okay, well, I haven't heard back from them, but I still need like a decent amount. So then I add like 4 more people to the list, and it's just like, oh, I'm not gonna get anywhere. But as I'm kind of corresponding with people, as I'm working things out, I've actually already sent the full material, the content, and the front cover image to someone, and she said she's going to start working on it ASAP, and within the next week it should be ready. She'll send it to me to be approved, and on the 21st she'll post. So I do have a, hopefully for sure, the other girl I'm in talks with about like what would fit best with her content, because I do want to be understanding of like, every channel typically does kind of have their style, whether they make the edits themselves or they repost or whatever. Like, they do just kind of have, they like to keep it consistent, I know, and I don't want to just like do something that completely throws them off. So I'm trying to work with people and be like, would you rather me do this or this? Like, because I'm fine with either. They both kind of give the same point across to hook people with like a snippet of my story, but it's like, what would align better with your content, basically. So I'm talking with her about that. I haven't sent her anything yet, but hopefully she'll get back to me in the next couple of days. I'll send that to her. But I'm adding a bunch of new people, and it's just taking a long time. I have to keep up with the spreadsheet. I am trying to stay organized with my Google Drive folder. It is a mess around here, basically. I'm checking my email like every 2 seconds. I'm not even kidding. It has really just been consuming me, and my goal is to finish reaching out to all the cover reveal people by Sunday. This week is all that I'm doing. Everyone I'm asking this week is it. Like, that is it. All that to say, that was really unnecessary, but just wanted to keep you guys in the loop because I think you deserve to know like what's going on. And when it is cover reveal day and you see, maybe if you follow any of these people coincidentally, that'd be funny. If you see any videos that are not from me, that are not mine, that have my cover in them, please don't be alarmed. Please don't like say like, oh, you're stealing your cover. Like, I promise I sent them that for a reason, so that they could promote it. So I am in touch with a bunch of people to kind of collaborate with me on that and make my cover reveal day on November 21st the best day it could possibly be, as wide of a reach as I possibly can, because it's a really big and really exciting day. So all that to say, I have not really been editing. I finished beta editing. Like I said, I have a couple more for comments, but I decided they would fit better with line editing, because they were things like adding more setting. Some of the dialogue felt unnatural, which, to be fair, I did rewrite some of the dialogue and included that as part of a beta edit for draft 4. I don't really know why I did that. These itty bitty minor things that are still remaining that I do want to address, like, I'm not ignoring that. They would better be tackled in line edits, aka draft 5. My plan is I'm going to take the rest of this week off. I have like an AP World History test tomorrow, which I'm not excited for, obviously. AP World is like really hard, like genuinely one of the hardest AP classes you can take in high school. So just maybe don't, but do it. I don't know. I'm really stressed. And then what else do I have to do? Oh yeah, I'm going to Starbucks after school, hanging out with my friends on Friday. And that might be it. I don't know. I want to catch up on reading. I'm so behind on my reading goal. Like, there's like so many new books that just came out that I'm really excited about. And then I can't do a book haul, but I just went to Barnes & Noble last week and I got a few books, so I'm like, oh, I want to read. But I'm going to take the rest of this week off, just focus on cover reveal, getting these edits up. I have an edit that I have to finish and export so I can post tomorrow, like just do some back end stuff. And then this Saturday, November 8th, I'm going to start draft 5, aka line edits. And I noticed, I was kind of looking back at some of my other videos, like when I was writing, when I was especially when I was doing like my dev edits, aka draft 2, which was straight out of the rough draft. So that's like the messiest and biggest overhaul. But when I was doing that, even when I was doing beta readers and the set of videos, I had a whole series for that. I would literally spend, like I'm doing now, this video is already so long, I ramble a lot if you can't tell. If you're new here, hi, like welcome to just how I am as a person. I feel like people who watch my videos would never expect I'm an introvert in real life. Like genuinely, if you see me at school, I'd be saying not a word. But I feel like I talk so fast and so much on camera. It's really weird. I notice when I'm doing those videos where I'm like starting a new draft, I literally spend the first 15 to 20 minutes during the intro where I'm literally just likely sitting in my walk-in closet, because that's usually where I film my intros, I'm not gonna lie. I will sit here or lay here in this case and just talk about like how I approach it, what even is it, my process for it, my game plan, what I plan to do, like all of this stuff. That's important, don't get me wrong, and I feel like that's part of what's helpful to you. I get so many comments of you guys being like, thank you, Marcelina, like this really helped me, or you're teaching me a lot, or this is really insightful, I'm about to start developmental edits and it's nice to know your process, it can give me some guidance. So I really don't want to stop doing that. I think that me explaining, again, not that I'm at all like the one you should go to, I'm not a New York Times bestselling author by any means. This is only like the 3rd full-length novel that I've ever written in my life. I had to think about that. I wrote a 90,000 word book for fun, not last summer, but the summer before. It was a contemporary romance. I didn't end up publishing that though, because I didn't really finish, but it was 90,000 words. If I were to finish it, it would be over 100k. It was really good, but it'll never see the light of day again. But if we're not going to count that 3 full-length novels that I've ever written, I just feel like I do have some takeaways from that. I've been through publishing. This will be my 2nd time going through publishing. Like, take what I say with a grain of salt, but I do like to share my insights, my process, even though everyone's is different, and that is more than okay. That is encouraged, actually. I still like to give you guys the full rundown of what I'm doing. Also, when I make references and I talk in the video, like certain terms that I've made up for myself that I'm gonna use, or I say like, oh, I'm gonna do this now. Like, I want to give you guys context and background at the beginning so you kind of know what I'm doing in the video, you know my game plan, like you can almost feel like you're on this train ride with me, you know what I'm trying to get accomplished, stuff like that. But I realized with how long my videos have been getting lately and how full my storage is, I don't want to like cut down on video quality, but I want to try to make my vlogs going forward more vlog focused and less me sitting here for 20 minutes explaining my process or explaining what I'm going to do. I'll give a brief overview, don't get me wrong, because I feel like if people don't see this, or like if they're coming, like if that's their first video from me, it got recommended on their feed, like I still want them to have some context as to what's going on, but I want to stop rambling about that and boring you guys. I was looking at my YouTube analytics on YouTube Studio, and my average watch time for like how far into a video you guys get is very low, which I know it's an average. So if one person watches it all the way through, one person watches 1 minute, that's going to average together. So of course it's going to be lower. Like, I'm not saying that there's no one who watches my videos all the way through, but I think that me rambling at the beginning so much is part of the reason why people are clicking off. And I want to try to avoid that. I want to try to get rid of that problem. I want to try to make my full watch through rate a lot higher, because I put so much effort and time into these videos, and I do want people to just watch them all the way through. That is where this video comes in. I'm going to be starting line edits this weekend, draft 5, aka my favorite draft in the whole book. I'm not exaggerating. I've mentioned this before, but line edits are second to rough draft writing. I don't want anyone to think that I like actually writing the book for the first time isn't my favorite part, because it is. This comes in second to that. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy it, and how every time I start a new book, I'm always just thinking in the back of my mind, I can't wait to get to line edits. I can't wait to line edit this book. It's my guilty pleasure. Like, I could legit be a line editor, like a freelance line editor. I'm not even kidding. I enjoy it that much. I don't know if I'm necessarily that great at it, but I enjoy it. So because of that, I'm going to try to keep that video more video focused and less me sitting here and being like, this is line edits, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm looking for, this is how I'm going to look for it. Like, and I'm just going to kind of address that in this video, talk about my game plan for that, kind of what line edits consist of and like what you can expect. Because it's where my handy dandy notebook comes in. I just realized that was backwards. Embarrassing. Where my handy dandy notebook comes in. I revised my schedule. Line edits are going to go from Saturday, November 8th to November 20th, which is a long time. And because I do weekly videos, you're going to be getting at least 2, but probably 3 vlogs just about line edits alone. If you've been around, I posted it was like week after week after week. It was just beta readers, beta readers, beta readers. I just found different ways to title the videos, but they were just all about beta readers. They were just all about draft 3. That's how it's going to be the next few weeks. Just a heads up. My life is going to be consumed with line edits. Like every single thing I do, every single thing I post, just expect that to be the case because line edits are not the hardest draft. Like I said, they're the funnest for me, but they are very time consuming. They do take a lot of passes through, a lot of just like over and over and over and over and oh, you thought you're done? Oh wait, nope, no you're not, psych. I'm going to be spending a lot of time with them, which translates to you guys are going to be spending a lot of time with them as well because I'm going to be taking you along with me for this journey. Line edits, in case you didn't know, a very, very quick, brief rundown. You could look them up. There are like a million other videos on YouTube that are better than mine that really go in depth about what they are, how to tackle them. So I'll link a few of my favorite line editing videos in the description down below. Have you ever been in an English class where you're supposed to write an essay, then it comes close to the due date and the teacher's like, okay guys, it's time for you to proofread, and they'll be like, take note of some weak words that you're using. Instead of this word, try using this word. Or like evaluate your transition words. Are they strong enough? Do they carry you well from paragraph to paragraph? Like give you some sentence starters maybe, stuff like that. That is sort of kind of what line editing is. At its core, stripped down to the finest level, that is basically line editing. It is where you are picking apart, and I mean this very literally, like you literally have to dissect every bit of the sentence. You have to just take it apart and you have to analyze it. You have to turn off that part of your brain that's like thinking more big picture plot wise, because that's what the last few rounds of edits have been, and just think very, very, very narrow. Forget about what this means. Forget about, ooh, this is a good piece of foreshadowing. Ooh, this is a play on words. No. Does this make sense grammatically? Does this flow? Does this sound kind of weird? Could I use a stronger verb here? Am I using too many adverbs? I've used said 20 times in this chapter. I need to find another dialogue tag. I used the dialogue tag whispered, but it's just the two of them in this scene. So why is he whispering? He could just talk in a normal voice. It's basically where you are critiquing the words. The last few rounds of edits, you have been critiquing the plot, the characters, the world or world building, the plot holes. Like you have just been focused on, again, the big picture stuff. But it's time to shift that and criticize your words. Should I use remarked instead of said? Should I use responded instead of replied? Should I fix this run-on sentence and make it shorter, and instead of saying she had brown hair, just say she was a brunette? Like, it's just really thinking about grammatically, like run-on sentences are definitely, stay away from them. A few here and there, not bad. Like, contrary to what people say, a few run-on sentences are not going to kill you. They're not going to kill your readers, like I promise. It's fine. And sometimes you kind of have to, because you don't want to split it up too much to where it's very like 3 words, period, 4, like you definitely sometimes need it, but just kind of focusing on that, or like on the contrary, does it sound too choppy? Like I read a book recently, there were way too many sentences. It was like, she stood, period. She took a deep breath, period. I need water, she said, period. Her friend grabbed her water, period. She drank the water, period. Like, I'm getting a headache just thinking about it, but it's like, that is not what you want to do. You definitely, and like when you were writing, maybe you were so focused, maybe like, okay, I'm just making things up, guys, but maybe that water, maybe it's a fantasy book, okay? Stay with me. And that water was secretly poisoned with with some like potion thing, some like fairy dust thing, and the guy that was giving it to her actually wasn't her friend. That was just like a whole ploy, and he was trying to drug her for some reason, or like he didn't trust her to be alone with him because maybe she's like an assassin or something. I don't know, guys. But my point being, maybe that's a really important scene. Maybe it just, like, when I'm saying that, it just sounds like, oh, water, like, who cares about her needing water? But maybe you as the writer intended that as more of like a, just you wait, this is a really, really important scene, plot-wise, foreshadowing-wise, twist-wise, like, it's gonna get really action-packed very quickly. And while editing previously, you were so focused on, again, the big picture. I feel like that's like a common thread here. I'm gonna keep saying that. You were so focused on the big picture stuff. Does this tie back to the twist good? Does this reveal his motive slowly but surely, but in a way that doesn't make it seem like a plot hole where he's just doing it to do it, but also it's not going to confuse the readers too much, but it's also going to be kind of unexpected and suspenseful. Like, you were so focused on the emotions it evoked and making sure that it aligned plot-wise that you didn't really think about the structure of it. You didn't really read it in a way as a reader. You've been reading it as a writer, which is fine, and that is, let me clarify, what you should be doing for the first like 2 to 4 rounds / drafts, depending on how many you have. Every person is different. You need to be reading it not like, what's the reader gonna think? How are they gonna take this? Is this gonna make sense to them? Is it too wordy where their brain might compute it but their eyes might glaze over it, or vice versa? Their eyes may read it but their brain may not comprehend it. It's just too clunky. You shouldn't think like that, because you're never going to get to the core roots of the problems with your books, with plot holes and gaps in the timeline and character flaws. You're never going to fix those things, which is crucial to having a good story. If you just ignore the fact that you might want to publish this or that you're interested in publishing and just think for yourself, just think critically, focus on that, like from a bird's eye view, and not have a tunnel vision. But line edits kind of break the mold. They kind of defy all of those other things that you might have heard or that you've been doing for the last few weeks, few months, few years, etc. And you're supposed to now focus on the words. Did I use the right tense for this? Example of that, and I'm not trying to call anyone out here if she's watching this, like, I absolutely loved your book. I kind of need it right now. Like, send it to my house right now. I don't care that it's not done. Just send it to my house right now. I loved it so much. But I beta read a book a few weeks ago, and it was great, but one of the like main problems I noticed was the book was in third person POV. So it was using like the she, her, he, they, like those pronouns. It wasn't like first person I point of view, which I feel like you don't see a lot anymore, I'm not gonna lie. So that was refreshing. But then probably about 10 to 12 times I caught where she ended up slipping into the first person POV, and she would use pronouns like I, me, we. I don't know if it's just because her heart like is with first person POV and she's just trying something new, or maybe she's read a lot of first person lately, but she was just instinctively slipping back into that, and I had to just make a couple of gentle note reminders like, hey, just like, this should be they. And I knew what she meant. Like, I knew that she like knew what she was doing, but sometimes in our brains, again, when we're writing, we're just so focused on the plot. What's happening? What's the action? What's going on? Is this a kiss scene? Like, we're just so focused on the stuff that happens that we don't think like grammatically and logically for a second, and we just go so fast that it's like, these things happen, and typos too. So point being, line edits are really just kind of that last pass of your book to clean it up, to polish it, to make it more refined prose wise. That is really the focus. Just focus on the prose, switch out words. It could be a lot of my process is looking up synonyms for words. Oh my gosh, if you've read my last book, I feel like you know, I feel like I tried to cut some out, but it's still pretty prevalent in there. I overuse adverbs like they are water. Like, that is how often I use them. They're kind of necessary in my heart, even though my mind knows otherwise and it tells me otherwise. So like adverbs are like the ly verbs. So I'll be like, I whispered shakily. And then in the very next sentence, it'll be like, he nodded sternly. Like, those kinds of things, I feel like it's so wordy when you're like, my whisper came out shaky, period. He nodded in a stern manner. Like, I do that too, and I think it is nice having that sentence variation of like longer versus shorter, because obviously when you use adverbs, it makes a sentence shorter. Like, it's supposed to be more concise, punchier, and then when you have it drawn out like that, so you're not using an adverb, it's like a lot wordier. And that could be good or bad. I just think that sometimes I feel like, okay, I hate saying this, but I feel like when you see a lot of adverbs back to back to back, where like the author is only using adverbs, that's like the only tool out of their pocket, it does kind of read younger, because I remember in a lot of children's books and a lot of like middle grade, adverbs were a big thing, and you would see that kind of pattern like I described in the first one. I don't know the reason behind that. I feel like there is a philosophy as to like adverbs are, at least for me, like one of the first English things we learned in terms of like prepositional phrases, subject, pronoun, like that type of thing. I feel like adverbs are what we learned pretty early on. It's kind of the basic foundation for a lot of things. So I feel like maybe it is in younger books and younger genres because children know it better than someone like using these very drawn out words. And I feel like, and again, this is no dig to anyone who uses adverbs successfully like me, because you're like me and so twins, but I feel like when you overuse it, it does read a little bit young and therefore cheapens your writing a little bit and just overall makes your writing style feel younger, which if you're writing a middle grade, you're on the right track. Like, don't really worry about this. I mean, be consciously aware of it, but like I think it's less harmful as opposed to writing a young adult, a new adult, or an adult book, which mine is supposed to be young adult, and that is a comment I've gotten before, is my writing style reads young, which is interesting. And I'm just thinking in my head, maybe that's because I am young. It's been less than 2 years since I was in middle school, so like, guys, I'm trying my best here, okay, I promise. But I think that really just going through, sharpening up the prose, sharpening up, you don't want your prose, speaking of which, to be purple prose, which I don't, like, I know what purple prose is, I've explained it to other friends, I just still cannot fully put it into words, so I'll put like a basic definition on the screen. It's just when things start to feel a little bit too sophisticated, like, oh, you can tell she's trying to impress us with her vocabulary. Like, it comes to a point, and I think there are some exceptions, like Babel by R.F. Kuang. Really, all of R.F. Kuang's books does this exceptionally well, but she is great at making purple prose kind of the exception. She's really the only one that I think I like, that I think if you go on a lot of her reviews, a lot of like the book talk, booktube videos, they'll kind of agree. Her prose is phenomenal, and it to some can be too much. It's too descriptive, too flowery, too like poured on thick, but I actually think it works really well, especially for the genre she writes and like how freaking long her books are. Like, it makes sense. But I think for the most part, especially for things like contemporary romance, really anything contemporary, because she writes more historical fiction, I think that's better suited, because back in the day, in that time period, they did talk like that. They did talk more prim and proper and sophisticated and kind of over the top. They were very wordy. And so if you're writing like a period piece like that, you know, like a Bridgerton style thing, you actually want to go for purple prose. But if you're writing anything contemporary, so mine's a contemporary high school romance mystery, like, no, stay away from anything like that. And I feel like sometimes because I have gotten comments before, and this is just me being very, very much aware of my own flaws, but because I have gotten comments before, like, your writing style reads so young, this reads like a middle grade book, how is this YA book, etc., etc. Like, sometimes I find myself trying to prove to people, the invisible people that hate on my books are never going to read my future ones again. So, like, I don't know why I'm trying to redeem myself from them, because they're never going to read it again to see that I redeem myself, but whatever. But I try to, like, sometimes go over the top with my sentence structure, make it really elaborate, make, like, the way that I kind of weave in the description just very purple prosy to just, like, try to elevate my writing, and that could actually backfire. But I would never know that I'm doing that until I get to line edits, until I really sit down and I'm not focusing on the characters. I'm not focusing on their internal, external conflicts. I'm not focusing on any external factors in the storyline, in the timeline, in anything. I'm just focusing on the words. That is when you can really tighten up your prose, remove any purple prose from it, make it as pleasant to read, where readers aren't like tripping over themselves to read one sentence because it's like a run-on and you use so many adverbs and you over describe things, and then you like misuse a tense. Like, there's just a lot of things you need to consider, and that can actually, believe it or not, even if you have the best, most interesting, engaging, intriguing plot in the world, if you have these weird sentence structures, it will, in fact, take your reader out of the story, and they will be bothered by it, they will notice it, and it could, in some cases, lower their rating of enjoyment of your book. Because even though the book itself was good, like the story, is good, reading is a diverse experience. You're reading for many different things. You're reading for vibes, you're reading for the characters, the dialogue, getting to know the characters and what happens in their story. But also, someone's writing style plays into that, plays into how well you understand it, how you get fed this information. And if your writing is really clunky and doesn't flow well when they're reading it, they're going to notice, and it's going to make them less likely to want to continue, because it's going to be a struggle to just read it. The worst feeling as a reader is when you know you're reading and you just can't get into the story, and you're so focused on your eyes reading the words. And that could happen if your writing and your prose is weaker. So we really, really want to avoid that. I really want to avoid that. My most recent beta reader, beta number 4, when she finished, she didn't mention this in any of her comments, but when she filled out the feedback form at the very end, she mentioned that some of my dialogue, she didn't give examples, so I don't really know what to work with here, but she said that some of my dialogue comes off as very stiff and unnatural, and dialogue has been something I've been working on for years. A few years ago, when I wrote my very first full-length novel and I got feedback on it, that was a common theme, was like, your dialogue is way too unrealistic, way too stiff and forced almost, which is like, that's horrible. Dialogue should be the focal point. That is really how readers get to know a character. They get to know a character through their actions and their internal conflict, all that, but the dialogue can be the highlight. Those are especially the very quotable moments, and I feel like they deserve to be sifted through and really made sure that they are as realistic as possible. They do come as organically as possible, and I've always found that's hard for me. So my plan is I'm going to sit down this weekend. I'm not going to do what I did for self-edits, developmental edits, which was draft 2. I'm not going to read the whole thing and then come back again after I spent a couple days reading the entire thing, and then comb through it, and then on my second pass, now that I know what to look for, edit it. I'm going to do an edit as I go method, which I don't normally do, but for line edits, I find it's very useful. I swear, line edits has so many exceptions. I'm breaking all the rules for it because it's so different. But then what I'm going to do is, as I read it, I'm going to read it as a reader, or pretend to. I'm going to try to just take the weight off, take the pressure off, read it as a reader, and then as I'm going to basically be dissecting each sentence. So it's going to take forever. You're probably like, Marcelina, it's going to take you 2.5 weeks to read your book. No, but it's because I'm going to read the first sentence, and then I'm going to be like, okay, how can I make this better? Can I replace any words? Is there a stronger word I could use? Let me look up synonyms. What sounds better? What 2 words? Because you ever had it where there's just a word pair? Not literally, but it feels like there is. It feels like fate destined these 2 words together because they sound so cohesive and so beautiful together. Sometimes you just have to go the extra mile, spend that extra 5 minutes looking for a synonym, and then it just makes the whole sentence flow so much better. So I'm going to do that, and then as I go through, I will be kind of going line by line by line, not only looking out for typos, which I'm not too concerned about typos at this point, but don't be alarmed, I will get to them. But in a few weeks, I am going to order the proof copy, which is the physical copy I'll get to hold in my hands and finally flex on camera. And then that proofreading is mainly for catching typos. Line editing is not. Proofreading also should not be line editing, but mine sometimes is, because it's different to see your book in a different format. So sometimes it makes you really start treating it like a real book, and then you catch things that are this would sound better. And I feel also line edits can be something as simple as if you had a sentence where it was back to my water example, I'm so drained, I don't have any new creative things. I need some water, he said. Sometimes it's literally just as simple as, depending on how the paragraph before it looks and how the paragraph after it looks, it could be something as just moving that over and just being he said, comma, I need some water. You know what I mean? Or like vice versa. But it really, you have to just pay attention to the flow of it. How do the back and forth conversations read? Like, how does this roll off the tongue overall? And that's why saying it out loud too, not the whole thing, but like speaking some dialogue. I think that's going to be my tactic. That's how I'm going to approach it at first, specifically for dialogue, because I know I need to work on it. Reading it out loud. And if you sound stupid saying it out loud, it probably sounds even stupider in a reader's head, okay? So I'm just going to be kind of going like that, going line by line by line, because I feel like I truly believe that I have the plot down. I think I have fixed all the plot holes, at least fingers crossed. I hope so. I really hope so. And now it's at the point where I'm not editing anymore for the story itself, if that makes sense. The story itself is done. Like, the plot itself is done. That is very much polished and as shiny and perfect as it can get from me. Now what I'm focusing on is what are like the presentation, basically. It's like when you're baking and you bake a cake and you put the frosting on it. Technically it's done. Technically you finished it. And technically you could serve that to someone and they would be sort of content because it's tasty. You got the taste of it down. But does it look the prettiest? No. So then you spend extra time making it look pretty, decorating it, putting like those frosting swirls, you know what I'm talking about, putting sprinkles, like doing all these fondant decorations and carvings. Like that way, whoever you're serving it to gets the full experience. Not only does it look pretty on the outside, but it tastes good on the inside. So that's kind of a really good metaphor to what I'm doing here and to how significant line edits are in the process. Like, I have my cake. The cake is my book right now as it stands. End of draft 4, beginning of draft 5. It is technically done if I were to present it to a reader, which it's already been through 5 beta readers, which is wild. And none of them have hated it. They've all absolutely loved it, and they've all said it surprised them and was better than they thought, which is like, oh, let's come back in a compliment, but just kidding. But I know it surprised and shocked all of them. They did not expect it to be as good as it was. So I could present it to readers, and I don't think I would embarrass myself. But I think it would leave a lot to be desired. It would absolutely make it better, and there would be room for them to comment. Prose-wise, that is probably the only disadvantage working against this book right now. So line edits are just really what I need to do. It's the last thing to tighten this up. And even though it's not 100% necessary, so if you're thinking like, do I even need to do line edits? I think you do. I would strongly do everything in my power to urge you and convince you not to skip it, because it's like if you have a bakery and you're giving your customers a bare cake, the cake is done. Like, it's gonna taste good. You didn't overcook it, you didn't undercook it. Like, it's going to taste delicious, but it's boring. There's no frosting, there's no decorations. Like, it doesn't look good, and the look does contribute to their overall rating of it. So like, take the extra time, go the extra mile. It'll only make it better. You can't make it worse, okay? You can't make something bare look even worse when you're trying to top it off and make it pretty. So anyway, that's how I'm gonna end this video. Stay tuned for the next 2 to 3 weeks. Definitely 2, potentially 3, but I can promise at least 2 vlogs you guys are getting about line edits, about me line editing specifically. And hopefully this really long video now, I'm making a long video now, get it out of the way, so that hopefully I could jump straight into me actually line editing this weekend and not have to talk about how important line edits are, like what you really need to look for, how I'm going to do it, what I need to focus on, all that stuff. Like, I'm just gonna jump straight in and do my favorite part of the process and really just make sure that my writing is on par and on an equal level with how addictive and good the plot is. So stay tuned. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you want to stay caught up, if you don't want to miss an upload, you don't want to miss this journey. And thank you for watching. Thank you for being an audience to my rambling sessions. Now I need to go eat dinner, take a shower. I will see you all in the next video very, very soon about line edits.